Do you want to have better pronunciation than a native speaker? Hi, I'm Keenyn from clearenglishcorner.com, helping you to become more clear and natural in your spoken English. In this lesson, I'm going to share 10 words that native speakers often mispronounce. This way, you can avoid making these same common mistakes. Sound good? All right, let's dive in. First word. Especially. Now, a lot of times native speakers will pronounce this word like there's an X in the first syllable, and they'll say especially, making it sound like words like exchange and exceptional. But there's no X in the first syllable in this word. It's just the as in red vowel right into the S sound, especially. This word means very much and more than usual. So I could say, I love wine, especially red wine. This word, epitome. A lot of times a native speaker will put the stress in the wrong place in this word. So they might say epitome, or epitome. But our stress is on the second syllable, silver pen epitome. Isn't it crazy how much difference the stress in a word can make? Epitome. This word means very much, more than usual. So I could say, she is the epitome of elegance. This word, etc. Again, a lot of times a native speaker will pronounce this like there's a X in that very first syllable. So it'll sound like etc. But there's no x sound in this word. Etc. This word means and other similar things. You would use it if you're writing a list, and additional items in the list can be assumed because they're part of a category. And in writing, you'll see the word etc. abbreviated as ETC. So you could say, please pack a healthy snack for your child. Vegetables, fruit, etc. Or electronic devices are not allowed. No phones, laptops, iPads, etc. I love this word. This word is pronounced facade. A lot of times, again, a native speaker might stress this word incorrectly, facade, or use a grade A vowel and say facade. But this is going to be olive sock facade. And this word means a false appearance that makes someone or something seem better than they really are. Her house is perfect on Instagram Reels, but it's all a facade. Number 5. This is one I mispronounced all the way up until college. This word is pronounced pseudonym. I don't know why, but I looked at this word for the longest time and thought it was pronounced pseudonym. I don't even know where I came up with that. But the P is totally silent in this word, emphasis on the first syllable, pseudonym. And a pseudonym is a name that someone uses instead of their real name, especially in writing. For example, for many years, Stephen King wrote under the pseudonym of Richard Bachman. Some of these words are definitely tricky, right? But not as tricky as words like squirrel and murderer and rural. If you're looking for help with those types of words, definitely check out this lesson. All right, number 6, subtle. Yes, the B in this word is totally silent. And a lot of times, even native speakers put this sound in there and say subtle. You don't need it. Subtle. If something is subtle, it means it's not obvious or apparent. It doesn't attract attention. She painted the room a subtle shade of pink. All right, how about this one? Across. A very common word, but sometimes you will hear native speakers say across, adding a t sound at the end of this word. No, You don't need a T here. This word ends in s, across, across. This word meaning to move from one side to another of something that has apparent boundaries. Like, she walked across the road. They live across the street. Number 8. This is a fun word. Sometimes native speakers will pronounce this word as albeit. This word actually has 3 syllables and is pronounced albeit. Albeit. It's a fun word that means the same thing as although. You use it as a conjunction. So I could say, we're getting settled in the new house, albeit very slowly. Or we're gearing up to go back to school, albeit very reluctantly. Number 9, ogle. Ogle. A lot of native speakers will look at this word and want to pronounce it olive sock ogle, ogle, but it's actually roseboat ogle, ogle. And this means to look at someone with obvious sexual interest. I saw you ogling that man in the leather pants. Busted. And number 10. This one isn't so much a pronunciation mistake as a mistake that a lot of native speakers make in writing. And that is writing out should've, could've, would've, writing out these contractions as should of, would of, could of. Whenever should've, would've, could've, these are contracted forms of should have, would have, could have. So if we're taking apart this contraction, it's incorrect to write, I should have told you. The word of should be have. I should have told you. You wouldn't write, I would have called first. Again, the word of should be have here. I would have called first. It's understandable that a lot of people make this error because the word of and the word have, when they're reduced, the word have in a contraction, when it's reduced, could have, sounds the same as the word of when it's reduced in a sentence. Of, those of us, would have been, they sound the same. And this is why a lot of times native speakers make this mistake, but you don't want to make that same mistake. If you're writing this out, it should be have, could have, should have, would have. There you have it, 10 common words that native speakers often mispronounce. Next, you're definitely going to want to check out these videos for tips on how to pronounce tricky words like murderer, squirrel, and rural, and 3 super common words, asked, close, and 1 more you'll find out when you watch the video. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.